Good afternoon, learners. My name is Atrey Sinha. I am Academic Officer English from National Institute of Open Schooling. Today we will read the part 2 of the lesson The Little Girl, which is included in our Secondary English course 202 as lesson number 18. Before starting the lesson, let us have a look at the learning outcomes that are expected from this lesson. So, first of all, after completing the lesson, the learner describes the kind of relationships between Kezia and her parents, comments on Kezia's father's attitude towards her and analyze its impact on her personality, analyzes their own relationship with their parents in terms of mutual communication and expectation. And they will also be able to suggest ways to promote a healthy relationship between parents and children, write short stories and consistent paragraphs, use simple past tense and improve their vocabulary. So, before starting the lesson, we must have know the author Catherine Mansfield who has written this short story. So, Catherine Mansfield was born in Wellington, New Zealand in 1808. She was the leading modernist short story writer, and she is known for capturing human emotions and relationship with sensitivity, and her most famous writings are like The Garden Party, Bliss, The Doll's House, The Fly, and his stories are simple, realistic. They mostly focus on family, childhood and social issues. So, as we have read the unit 1 and unit 2 of the story The Little Girl, so let's quickly recapitulate what we have learned in our last class. So, in unit 1 of the lesson that tells us about the relationship between Kezia and her father and how Kezia is affected due to the reaction and due to the behavior treatment the father imposed on her. So, we have read and find out that Kezia's father expects from her and how she responds to it. The expression to be feared and avoided indicates that she was afraid of her father. He would always give her instructions or orders, but never made an effort to know what she expected from her. So, Kezia wanted his love and company. He only wanted her to be obedient, disciplined, organized and a perfect person. The father expected Kezia to accept the things as they are and not to question anything. As a result, Kezia couldn't build up self-confidence and didn't feel free to talk. If she tried to talk, she would end up shattering. Her father never tried to find out what was going wrong in her life. He never gave her time to open her mind to him. And in unit 2, we have read that on the suggestion of her grandmother, Kezia makes a beautiful pin cushion for her father's birthday. She thought he would appreciate her feelings behind it. Out of ignorance, she stuffed it with papers which were very important to her father. He was furious when he came to know about this, and she pleaded that it was for his birthday. Instead of being soft to her, the father punished Kezia by hitting her palms with a ruler. She screamed, but her father believed this was the only way to teach her not to touch what did not belong to her. Kezia was deeply hurt at heart. He questioned to her grandmother, what did God make fathers for? This shows the intensity of her feeling. Her grandmother believed that she would forget the incident, but she didn't. She was hurt emotionally. Physical wounds heal, but emotional ones don't. So, that's about the lessons unit 1 and unit 2. We will read the unit 3 from now. So, unit 3 goes like that. The McDonalds lived next door. They had 5 children. Looking through a hole in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tug in the evening. The father with the baby Mao on his shoulders, 2 little girls hanging on his coat pockets, ran round and round the flower beds, shaking with laughter. So, The McDonalds lived next door. They had 5 children. So Kezia's neighbors were the McDonald's family who lived in the houses beside hers. They had a big family with 5 children. Looking through a hole in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tug in the evening. So one evening, Kezia peeped through a small hole in the fence that separated their houses. She saw the McDonald children playing a game of tug, a chasing game where one person tries to catch the others. The father with the baby Mao on his shoulders, 2 little girls hanging on his coat pockets, ran round and round the flower beds, shaking with laughter. So Kezia noticed that the McDonald father was also playing joyfully with his children. He carried the baby Mao on his shoulders. 2 little girls were holding onto his coat as he ran around the garden. So everyone, including the father, was laughing and enjoying themselves. That is lacking in Kezia's life. So once she saw the boys turn the hose on him and tried to catch them, laughing all the time. So what happened once that Kezia saw the McDonald boys spraying water on the father with a garden hose, and instead of getting angry, the father laughed and chased them playfully. And this chase is playfully and not at all in an instruction or orderly or in a dominant manner. So there is no fear that is imposed upon the children by their father. So the father is very much enjoying the play and the every playfulness among them. So the scene was very full of fun, joy and affection. Next paragraph. Then it was she decided there were different sorts of father. Suddenly one day mother became ill and she and grandmother went to hospital. So what happened? After watching the McDonald's family, Kezia realized an important truth. Then it was she decided there were different sort of fathers. And what was the important truth? She understood that not all fathers are like hers. Some fathers like Mr. McDonald are kind, playful and loving, while others like her own father are strict and distant. This made her compare the love-filled home of the McDonalds with her own cold and silent household. Suddenly one day, mother became ill and she and grandmother went to hospital. So soon after that realization, something unexpected happened to Kezia. What that? Kezia's mother fell sick. Her grandmother went with her to the hospital to take care of her. This meant Kezia was left alone at home with only the cook, Alice. Now, the little girl was left alone in the house with Alice, the cook, as I have already said. That was all right in the daytime. But while Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid. So, the little girl was left alone in the house with Alice the cook. So after her mother and grandmother went to the hospital, only Kezia and the cook Alice stayed at home. So Alice was there to take care of her, cook food and help her with small things, but there was no loving family member with her, which made the house feel lonely to the little girl. That was all right in the daytime, but while Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid. So during the day, Kezia felt fine because the sunlight made everything seem normal and safe. But at night, when Alice helped her to go to bed, Kezia suddenly began to feel scared. The darkness and the thought of being alone without her grandmother made her anxious. "What will I do if I have a nightmare?" she asked. "I often have nightmares and then Granny takes me into her bed. I can't stay in the dark. It all gets whispery." So Kezia is very much afraid now. "What will I do if I have a nightmare?" she asked. So see, Kezia was worried about before sleeping. She told Alice that she often had nightmares that means bad dreams. And normally when that happened, her grandmother would take her into her own bed and comfort her. She also said she was afraid of the dark because when everything became silent, she imagined scary sounds that are referred to as whispery. This shows how emotionally dependent Kezia was on her grandmother for safety and love. "You will just go to sleep, child," said Alice, pulling off her socks, "and don't you scream and wake your poor pa." So Alice, not at all taking her fear seriously. What did he say? That Alice said that the cook didn't take Kezia's fear seriously, and she told her to go to sleep. "You just go to sleep, child," said Alice. So she told her to go to sleep and warned her not to scream and disturb her father. This shows that even Alice feared the father's temper and didn't want to upset him. Then, but the same old nightmare came. The butcher with a knife and a rope, who came nearer and nearer, smiling that dreadful smile, while she couldn't move, could only stand still, crying out, "Grandma, Grandma." She woke shivering to see father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. So, but the same old nightmare came at that night. And what was the nightmare? The butcher and with a rope. So, as she slept, Kezia had her usual nightmare again. And in her dream, a butcher holding a knife and a rope walked towards her with a terrifying smile. The butcher with a knife and a rope, who came nearer and nearer, smiling that dreadful smile. While she couldn't move, could only stand still, crying out, "Grandma, Grandma." So she was frozen with fear, unable to move or run, and screamed for her grandmother. This shows her deep insecurity and loneliness, and again her dependence on her grandmother. She woke shivering to see father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. So the nightmare scared her so much that she woke up trembling, that means shivering. To her surprise, it was not her grandmother, but her father standing beside her with a candle. This moment marks a turning point. For the first time, her father comes to comfort her in her lifetime. "What's the matter?" he said. "Oh, a butcher, a knife, I want Granny." He blew out the candle, bent down and caught up the child in his arms, carrying her along the passage to the big bedroom. A newspaper was on the bed, a half-smoked cigar was near his reading lamp. So the father asked, "What's the matter?" Now he is feeling the concern. He is concerned about the fear that her daughter is getting from. "So what's the matter?" he asked. Hearing Kezia scream, her father came to her room and asked what was wrong. His tone was concerned, showing that he was now worried about her, worried about his own daughter. "Oh, a butcher, a knife, I want Granny." Still frightened and half awake, Kezia tried to explain her nightmare. She told him about the butcher with a knife and cried that she wanted her grandmother. This shows how terrified and helpless she felt. He blew out the candle, bent down and caught up the child in his arms, carrying her along the passage to the big bedroom. Her father blew out the candle to keep the room dark and lifted Kezia gently into his arms. He carried her down the passage to his own bedroom, showing care and protection. This was the first time he physically comforted her with tenderness. A newspaper was on the bed. A half-smoked cigar was near his reading lamp. So this description shows that Kezia's father had been reading and smoking before going to sleep. He must have been relaxing after a long day at work, showing that he had his own tiring routine too. But everything left, he went to his own daughter, who was scared due to some nightmare. He put away the paper, threw the cigar into the fireplace, then carefully tucked up the child. He lay down beside her, half asleep still with the butcher's smile all about her. It seemed she crept close to him, snuggled her head under his arm, held tightly to his shirt. So, he put away the paper, threw the cigar into the fireplace, then carefully tucked up the child. So, he stopped whatever he was doing, showing that Kezia now became his priority. He threw away his cigar, put aside the paper, and tucked her carefully into his bed. This action shows his gentle, caring side, something Kezia had never experienced before. He lay down beside her. Her father lay down beside her so that she would feel safe. Half asleep still with the butcher's smile all about her, it seemed she crept close to him. Though still half dreaming and remembering the scary butcher, Kezia moved close to her father, seeking warmth and protection. Snuggled her head under his arm, held tightly to his shirt. She snuggled, cuddled her head under his arm and held his shirt tightly. For the first time, she felt secure in her father's presence. Next paragraph. Then the dark didn't matter. She lay still. Tired out, he slept before the little girl. A funny feeling came over her. Poor father, not so big after all, and with no one to look after him. So now the darkness that from which Kezia was so scared of didn't matter to her. She lay still. So with her father beside her, Kezia was no longer afraid of the darkness. She felt safe, loved and peaceful, something she had never felt before with him. And this moment changed her view of her father completely. Tired out, he slept before the little girl. So after comforting Kezia, her father quickly fell asleep because he was also exhausted. He was exhausted from his long day at work. He was also tired. This shows how hard he worked every day, which might explain why he was often irritable or strict. A funny feeling came over her. Poor father, not so big after all, and with no one to look after him. So lying beside her father, Kezia suddenly felt something new, sympathy and love. She realized her father was not a terrifying giant, but a tired, lonely man. She thought, poor father, because she could now see that no one took care of him the way her grandmother took care of her, but there is nobody to take care of her father. Her fear began to change into understanding and affection. Then, and every day he had to work and was too tired to be Mr. MacDonald. She had torn up all his beautiful writing. She stirred suddenly and sighed. So, Kezia understood why her father was not like Mr. MacDonald, who had time to play with his children. And every day he had to work and was too tired to be a Mr. MacDonald. Her father worked hard all day to provide for the family. He wasn't unfriendly, he is just too tired to show his love. This realization made her respect him more. She had torn up all his beautiful writing. Kezia remembered the mistake she had made tearing up her father's important papers. Now she felt sorry and guilty, understanding how hard he must have worked to write that speech. She stirred suddenly and sighed. As she thought about all this, Kezia moved a little and sighed softly, a deep breath showing her emotions. It was a mix of sadness, love and realization. "What's the matter?" he asked her. "Another dream?" "Oh," said the little girl, "my head's on your heart. I can hear it going. What a big heart you have, dear father dear." So what happened? As Kezia sighed and stirred a little, his father asked, "What's the matter?" He asked her. "Another dream?" "Oh," said the little girl, "my head's on your heart. I can hear it going. What a big heart you have got, father dear." So her father, half awake, noticed her movement and asked kindly if she was having another bad dream. This shows his gentle, caring side. He was attentive to her even while sleepy. "Oh," said the little girl, "my head's on your heart." So Kezia told him her head was resting on his chest and she could hear his heart beating. "I can hear it going. What a big heart you have got, father dear." So she said he had a big heart, meaning both literally and emotionally. It was her way of saying she now knew he was kind, loving and good inside, even if he didn't show it openly. The word father dear shows that her fear had turned into love and closeness. That's all about the story. So we have learned that Kezia never got an opportunity to enjoy the company of her parents. She didn't have an open relationship with them. In this unit, we have read that what she thought when she found the McDonalds playing and enjoying together. She could see the thrill and joy on their faces. She wondered if it could be the same with her family. Her father had never been friendly with her, never encouraged her to feel free with him. She realized that all fathers are not alike. Her father was of a different sort. However, she wanted to enjoy her parents' company. Another incident happened when made Kezia realize something new about her father. Kezia was left alone at night when her mother was hospitalized and her grandmother accompanied the mother. She had a nightmare. She screamed, calling out for grandmother, and her father came and comforted her. She had an opportunity to be close to him. The way he cared for her, comforted her, gave her a sense of security by taking her under his arms and made her realize that her father had indeed a big heart. He was not able to spend time with her because he was busy during the day. She says, "You have got a big heart, father dear." So that's all about the story, The Little Girl. We will discuss the characters, the themes and the grammar portions of this lesson. But before that, let's have a short break.
प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने। पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने हम, अपना दीपक स्वयं बने हम, अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा और परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर। दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बात,
कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने हम, अपना दीपक स्वयं बने हम, अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने हम, स्वयं बने हम,
Welcome back, learners. We are reading The Little Girl Part 2, and we have quickly recapitulated the section 1 and 2 of our story of our lesson. Then we have read the unit 3 today, and now we are here to analyze the character, to discuss the characteristic details of our of the characters. So first of all, we have the character named Kezia. Kezia is the protagonist of the story, and she is a very fearful and fearful little daughter of her parents, and she started when speaking to her father. Then the second main character, we have Kezia's father, who is a strict, commanding person, and who is love to give orders. There is Kezia's mother, who is very passive and didn't support Kezia much. And then we have Kezia's grandmother, the only source of Kezia's warmth and comfort. So these are the four main characters we have in this story. Apart from that, we have another character, that is Alice, who is the cook of the household, but in this story she doesn't have much scope to show her characteristics. So we have these four main characters: Kezia, Kezia's father, Kezia's mother, and Kezia's grandmother. Now moving on, we have the themes that are embedded in this story. So themes like children's need for love, fear versus love, communication gap, role of grandmother, and parents' responsibility are the main themes that are there in this story. We will discuss these themes one by one. So first of all, we have children's need for love. So in this story, we can see that every child longs for love and warmth, affection and emotional connection from their parents. And in the story, Kezia loves her father but feels unloved because he never expresses tenderness. His words are always orders, not carrying conversation. So Kezia becomes fearful instead of happy around him. When he finally comforts her during her nightmare, she feels the love she had been craving all along. The story teaches that children grow emotionally strong when they feel loved, not when they are only disciplined. Kezia's joy and safety when her father hugs her after the nightmare show how much she needed that love all alone. Then we have the theme of fear versus love. The story beautifully contrasts fear and love in a parent-child relationship. At first, Kezia's relationship with her father is ruled by fear. She stammers, hides, and avoids him. But after the nightmare, she feels love and safety in his arm. So the same man she once saw as a giant becomes her protector. This change shows that love can replace fear when understanding and care are shown. So when Kezia rests her head on her father's chest and says, "What a big heart you have got, father dear," her fear turns into love. There we have parents' responsibility, another theme, and the story highlights that parents are not only providers but also emotional guides. It is their responsibility to spend time, listen to, and show love to their children. Kezia's father works hard for the family but fails to give emotional attention to his little daughter. Because of that, she misunderstands him and grows up fearful and insecure. Parents must balance discipline with affection to raise confident and loving children. Kezia's father fulfills his duties as a worker but not as a communicator. He never talks or plays with her. Then we have the communication gap, another theme. A major reason for Kezia's fear is the lack of open communication in her family. Her father never asks how she feels or spends time to know her better. Even her mother is passive and doesn't bridge the gap between father and child. Because of this silence, small misunderstandings like tearing the papers become big problems. The story teaches that talking, listening, and understanding each other are key to family happiness. Kezia could not tell her father the truth about the pincushion because she was too scared to speak freely with him. There is another important role of grandmother in this story. The grandmother is the only source of love and comfort in Kezia's life. She spends time with her, listens to her, and understands her feeling. She encourages Kezia to talk to her parents and even helps her make the birthday gift. After the punishment, she consoles Kezia, showing patience and warmth that the parents lack. The grandmother represents care, emotional safety, and the healing power of affection. When Kezia cries after being bitten, her grandmother wraps her in a shawl, rocks her gently, and wipes her tears. So that's the theme that are embedded in this story. Then we have the grammar portion in this lesson, and the grammar is simple past tense. So simple past tense is used to describe actions that happened in the past, and these verbs change to their second form, that is the past form, and past signals that indicate simple past tense are there in these sentences, like yesterday, last Sunday, or last Wednesday, whatever this is, previously, last Monday, ago, in 2010, in 1994, like that. So there are some positive sentences that could be written through simple past tense, like Raman convinced his father. If you can see the slide, Raman convinced his father. So there is the subject, then the verb that is there in the past form, and then the object. So Raman is the subject, convinced is the verb, and convinced this is in the past form, and then the object, his father. So this is the positive sentences that could be made through simple past tense. Then we have negative sentences that could be made through simple past tense, like Raman did not give up on his studies. Raman, subject, then did not phrase, to make it past, and then the base verb, and base verb means the present form of the verb. This is not in the past tense. So, did not give up, then the object on his studies. So, Raman did not give up on his studies, the negative sentences true in the simple past tense. Then we can make questions, make interrogative sentences through simple past tense, like did Raman convince his father? So, here first of all we will write the did, then the subject, here Raman, then base verb convince, then the object, that is his father. Did Raman convince his father? This is a kind of interrogative sentences, and never forget that to put the question interrogative mark, question mark after the sentence. Otherwise, it will make a wrong sentence. Neither it is a question, neither it is a statement, because we have already write the interrogative sentence. We have to put the interrogative mark, that is question mark. All right. Then moving on, what we have learned in this lesson, that parents must balance discipline with love, communication builds trust and confidence, and emotional wounds last longer than physical ones. Children need time, attention and affection, and a big heart is more important than being strict. So, these all what we have learned from this lesson. So, at a glance, Kezia's father was not cruel but misunderstood. He worked hard and cared deeply, though unable to express his love. The nightmare incident helped Kezia see his father's softer side, and there is a message embedded in this story, that is, love should be expressed openly in families. So, that is all about the lesson number 18, A Little Girl. We will again meet with another lesson in our next class. Till then, thank you.